Welcome to LOA Today. Walt Thiessen and life coach Joel Ellison here. Today is Thursday, January the 10th, 2019. It's 8 a.m. in New York and 5 a.m. in Los Angeles, 1 p.m. in London and Sydney, Australia. It's around 12 midnight. But wherever you are in the world, thank you for tuning in either to our live stream or to our recorded podcast here on LOA Today, your daily dose of happy. And Joel, we didn't get to chat last week because of a bit of a not a medical emergency, just kind of a medical interference because a situation with my wife's ever improving health and dealing with medical personnel and so forth. But 2 weeks later, hey, it's good to talk to you again. How you doing?
Doing fantastic. It's always good to be here. I can't wait to see what we got going in the show today. I know we have some guests, so I'm really excited to get into that.
Absolutely, yeah. And without further ado, let's bring them in here because this is pretty cool. Jamie, who's one of the administrators of the Law of Attraction Changed My Life group, introduced me to Steve and Kelly and said, these guys would be great to bring on your show. So when I get an endorsement like that, I really can't ignore it. That's a really powerful endorsement. So first of all, let me introduce Steve Rowell. Steve is the founder and CEO of DoLifeOnPurpose.com. He's a transformational coach, an online business coach, LOA mentor, and he works with people to deliver their best life through the law of attraction, and more importantly, the mindset to deliver it. Absolutely, very important. And then Kelly Pretty is a universal love coach. I've never heard that term before. Universal love coach, spiritual leader, speaker, and best-selling author. She helps women around the world to create their dream relationships and lives, or lives, I should say, after a decade of disastrous relationships. And Kelly will talk about that because I've had the same thing in my past. She felt hopeless and like she never found meaningful life, but her whole world transformed when she discovered the world of personal development, the law of attraction, spirituality, and meditation. In less than 2 years, she went from single and despairing to engaged to her soulmate. Oh, this is going to be a fun story, I can tell. So welcome, Steve and Kelly, to the show. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us, Walt.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, our pleasure. Glad to have you here. So, okay, Kelly, I got to go to you first because we have a kind of a similar story because I was loveless for literally about 20 years of my life, early on in my life, until I finally just gave up, threw in the towel, and my wife appeared. And I'm just curious to know what your story is.
That's really interesting, right? Because that's like you finally released it and then it happened for you.
Exactly.
So there's something to be said about the releasing, and that's exactly what happened to me when I got engaged. The day I had a conversation with my partner about, you know what, we don't need to get married. We love each other. That's all that matters. He proposed that night. So there's something so powerful about it. But yeah, I just had like 10 years of really disastrous relationships. They were really toxic. And I kind of got to the point where I was like, you know what, there's got to be something that I can fix in me. The only recurring thing in these relationships is me. So I got introduced to The Secret, the book The Secret. And then from there, just got really into spirituality, self-love. And then we met. I did all my vision boards in January of 2016, and I met him in November of 2016. And then we lived in different countries, so we commuted for a year.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I moved in with him last November, and we got engaged a year later, pretty much. So yeah, really lovely. I love it. He's amazing. And I love the law of attraction for him.
Absolutely. Well, and you mentioned The Secret too. I haven't mentioned this, and Joel hasn't mentioned this in a while, but Joel regularly gives away copies of The Secret. How long have you been doing that, Joel? I mean, it's been a long time you've been doing that.
Oh, several years. I can account for 2,000 copies I've given away.
Is that right?
Wow. Yeah. It is really the ultimate in what I call sort of LOA 101. It's while it's certainly not the comprehensive end all in law of attraction, it certainly has really it's perfect conduit into the discovery of the law of attraction. And I find it's an easy read. And I think most people that get into the law of attraction have started with that. And, I always, Walt and I sort of have an ongoing joke, you go from sort of The Secret to Abraham Hicks. And then, when you get really on the other side, you get into the Seth tapes and all that Seth books. And but that the general idea of the law of attraction is I think there is no better beginning way or no better tool than the secret to get people where they're at. So I concur that it opens your eyes, and most people that read it say, "Oh my goodness, I recognize this immediately."
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Steve Rowell, I mean, you're not the first transformational coach I've ever heard of, but a transformational coach who's also an online business coach. That's a kind of unusual combination you got going there.
It is. But the main reason I've gone down that route really is that this has all come about through using the law of attraction. So for the majority of my life, I manifested the life that I didn't want up until I was probably around 34 years old, when I decided to take back control of my life. And I think the main misconception with the LOA for me, and well, for my clients and the people that I speak to, is that they think they're not very good at manifesting.
Yes, I know what you mean.
Yeah, but in fact, every single person is a master manifester, because whether you're manifesting what you don't want or what you do want, you're just as good at using the law of attraction in either way you're doing it. So you're either doing it subconsciously and creating the life that you don't want, or you're doing it consciously out of choice and creating the life that you do want. So I think once people understand that that is the case, that's where people like me and Kelly come in, where we can help them then morph and change their mindset to away from the subconscious patterns that they've got to using choice and direction and clarity to create the life that they do want. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, once they've got that clarity and they know where they want to go, then we can start helping them work their way up to the success that they imagine for themselves. Really, that's what I do. That's what I'm about.
That's good. That's really good. Now, you guys are both based in the UK, and you have your separate practices going on. Where's the connection between you guys? I mean, you guys clearly you go together, but I don't know exactly how you go together.
we actually spoke for the first time. Was it yesterday?
Yeah, it was yesterday. But we spoke for the first time yesterday, and there was quite a lot of nice synchronicities, though, wasn't there, as there always is. So we're definitely going to be keeping in touch after this.
Okay, yeah. So Jamie knew each of you independently. Is that the idea?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. Yes, yes. So we've both been posted in the Law of Attraction Change My Life group. I recently I did something a little bit different. So I decided to live on Facebook manifest a supercar onto my driveway.
Okay. And you can't leave it hanging there. You have to actually complete the story. It's a requirement here on the show.
Yeah. Well, what I wanted to do was show people that this stuff is real, and if you do it in the right way with the right mindset, you can create anything that you want to create in your reality. That was my mission to do it. It scared me to death doing it, don't get me wrong.
This is not normal to do it this way, that's for sure.
I don't think anybody else has ever done anything like that live on Facebook, but I had 100% faith in the fact that it would turn out, and I didn't know how long it would take. I didn't know how the car would turn up, because that's what it's about. It's about letting go and letting the universe rearrange the energies and everything around and bring that into your reality in the way that it sees fit. So yeah, it took me around about a month and a half to do that from start to finish. So we started off, me and the wife, test driving different supercars. We didn't know which one we wanted, and we put all the test drives on Facebook, walk people through the process of the visualization, the working with the energy, the physical anchoring of test driving the cars that we wanted. We decided on the Audi R8, and then we went down the road of being precise on exactly what we wanted, and then we let it go off into the universe. It's done, forgot about it, but then we're really present in the now, in the present moment, waiting and watching and putting the action in, moving towards what we wanted. So I started the stories. I started getting people from Facebook because they'd seen what I was doing, adding me as a friend, adding me to supercar groups. So I started speaking to people that already own supercars. I spoke to a certain guy that was awesome and showed me a way that I could own that super. Bear in mind, I didn't have the money to buy this supercar at the start of this, so it wasn't about the money. It wasn't about going and working really hard to earn the money. So I'd let go of how it was going to happen. So this guy showed me a way that I could have that supercar on my drive whenever I wanted and drive it whenever I wanted, and it wouldn't cost me anything but fuel and insurance.
That's pretty cool. So what happened? Again, you can't just leave the story hanging. You have to tell the whole story.
Well, I've now got an Audi R8, which I can drive whenever I want. It's owned in my name, but it's hired out, so it pays for itself in effect.
Really? That's an interesting
Yes.
concept. How does that
Yeah.
work?
Well, I wouldn't have even known this was possible.
I didn't know it either. Tell us about it.
No. Well, that's it. That's what it is.
I mean, what do you mean that it's hired out? I don't quite follow. What does that mean?
So it goes off and stays somewhere else, and then people hire the car, so they'll pay me to hire it for a weekend.
Really? So
Yeah.
you're basically a car renter, a one-car supercar car renter.
Yeah.
Wow, I never heard of such a thing. That's really wild.
But that's what happened. That's how it works. So I'm not gonna argue with it.
No, I'm not arguing with it. I'm just curious. I'm always curious about the details. I mean, Joel, have you ever? I've never heard of anything. Have you ever heard of anything like that?
I have. There's an app. It's sort of similar to Airbnb, except it's for cars. I forget the name of it, but you can do that here in the United States.
All right. Okay. Well, I just learned something new. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. That's a cool story. That's good. So Kelly's got her manifesting the relationship story, and Steve's got his manifesting the car story. Let's see, what do we have to manifest next? Pick something. No, but seriously, that's great stuff.
I think, well, me and Kelly both, we had a good conversation, and I think once you start on this path, I mean, I read The Secret as well. That was the first book I ever read, which was in 2012. At that point, I was homeless. I didn't have a job. Now I've got my perfect relationship. I'm living in a lovely house in the middle of Norfolk, which is a beautiful place to live. I've got nice cars. I'm earning a decent living. And it's all because of the law of attraction and the most important part, the mindset to be able to deliver what you want on a consistent basis and keep moving towards what you want. I think a lot of people forget about the action part of it, and they'll do the visualization, they'll work, do the background work with the energies, but they won't then put the action in to actually go and move towards that which they're trying to bring into their reality. I think that's the missing piece for me, and it always was for me until I learned that. And the book that taught me that, I think, was It Is Done by Richard Dotts. Have you read that one?
I have not, no.
Try that. Richard Dotts' stuff is really good.
Okay. This could actually then be called the Joel and Steve show because you guys have very similar stories. I don't know if you know that, Steve.
Do it, yeah?
Yeah. I have, I've been homeless. I just like you're saying, the same concepts of how the introduction of the law of attraction just sort of changed everything. And I was an expert manifester on the other side of the equation, so to speak. I didn't realize it at the time, but I was excellent at getting exactly what I didn't want by focusing on what I didn't like. And the idea that when I discovered that, it's like being on the other side of the same side. It's like, wow, now that I can work with this, it changed everything instantly. And just like you're saying, I have a Porsche in my driveway as well. So
yeah, because it works. Once you have, what can we call it, that light bulb moment that changes your perception of, well, it changes your perception of everything, doesn't it? It's not just one part of your life. All of a sudden, you realise that you created all that. I'm going to swear, all that shit in your life was your responsibility. Your responsibility because of the thoughts that you were having, and then the feelings that you attached to those thoughts that then sent out that energy into the universe and brought back to you what you didn't want. And once you realise that, then it's just an instant switch. Well, it was for me. I don't know about you. Was that the same for you, Kelly?
Joel says he's asking that was the same with you. Yes.
With me, it's that instant switch, just what you're discussing, where we're able to, when you realize that you flip the switch, you're able to, my perspective is mine to control. And when your perspective controls your reality, I create a reality every morning when I wake up. Every moment of my day is a reality that I'm creating. And as long as I'm filtering it through that understanding, then I'm in charge of what takes place. I'm doing my own programming, so to speak, versus the negative side or and I'd love to tell you I do it perfectly every day. There's moments where I'll realize that okay, I'm not in this direction where I need to be, and I can quickly right the ship. But it is baffling for so long how I fought that, but it's so clear now that we have been programmed a lifetime to almost do the opposite. I know my upbringing was basically that of victim, of where you aren't in charge of any of this. Your reality is dictated to you. You have no choice in where you're going. And not that I'm saying I had bad parents. I'm just saying that was their reality. And I that never felt right to me. And once I realized I was in charge, then that's when everything drastically changed in a very quick way.
Yeah, I think that's the most important part, is when you realize that you are 100% in control of like you say, your reality. But you're absolutely right as well, because it's so easy for us to slip back into those old thought patterns. And then, because I do it all the time, I'll create something that I don't want, and I'm like, yeah, I remember actually what the thought, because you're aware of your thoughts now, you can go back and you can trace back what you did and what you thought and the feelings that you had that then created this outcome that you've got. So it's so wonderful to be able to do that and spend time analyzing your own thoughts and then changing them to get to where you want them to be, to then create the outcomes that you want. I think it's fantastic. I get really passionate about this stuff. So if I start crying, that's why. Because it's changed my life so much. How can I not get passionate about it? It's awesome. It's awesome. Anyway, I'll let Kelly have a chat now.
Just keep the tissues next to you. Just keep the tissues next to the camera there, because we don't want you, like crying all over the microphone. It could rust it out. We really don't want that. But yeah, Kelly, let's get back to the relationships, because relationships is a big thing. It's a big issue on the Law of Attraction Changed My Life group. Anywhere on Facebook, it's a big thing. It's probably one of the three biggest issues that bring people to the Law of Attraction in the first place. And like you and I talked about early on in the program, it's something that can haunt you for years and years. It haunted me for 20 years. I was one of those people who would, if Facebook had been around when I was dealing with my issues, I would have been one of the people saying, well, please someone explain women to me in very short words with diagrams and arrows so I can understand what the heck is going on here. I would have been one of those people.
Yeah, well, on you go, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, so go ahead. So what was your experience? I mean, were you looking for similar diagrams about men? I don't know what you were looking for.
I think I just got myself into like a really bad place where I knew I couldn't continue. So like I was really fortunate that with my career, everything was going really well. But with my love life, it was like absolutely shit. Sorry for the expression. But so I basically read The Secret, and then I was like, whoa, hold on. Like, I've created this because I think all men cheat. Therefore, I've manifested in guys that cheat. And I had to work really, really hard on my belief system But I also think that like subconsciously, a lot of the time we have blocks that we're not even aware of. So like for me, self-love is huge, and it's really, really important to like spend time loving yourself first and creating a life that you enjoy yourself. Because if not, you end up like seeking somebody to help fix you. And really the whole point, I think, is for us to fix ourselves first before we then manifest somebody in. So like it was really fitting because the person who actually really introduced me to the law of attraction was my ex-boyfriend. So everything happens for a reason. And I feel like if there's anyone watching who's going through a really tough time, like just knowing that there is light at the other end of the tunnel, and that, you know, everything's happening to direct you towards your highest good, and why you're here within this lifetime, for me. But that's just my opinion anyway. I really think like every single person has a gift to offer the world, and everyone's capable of having amazing relationships, and it's just our kind of thoughts and beliefs that get in the way of that.
That's very good. I agree with you. The one thing that I see most often when it comes to people discussing relationship issues, particularly on Facebook, is the most common scenario is usually a young person wanting to get their ex back. How do I get my ex back? You know, everything I do doesn't seem to work. You know, it's very, very common. How do you react when you see that? What do you tell people? What's your take on it?
Yeah, well, actually, with Jamie tags me into quite a lot of stuff to give tips within the Law of Attraction group. So I see a lot of the time people saying, how can I get my ex back, and how can I manifest a specific person, like a named person? And
Right.
I would say that it's not like that is not possible. Like what you have to focus on when you're manifesting is the type of person that you want to manifest in. So listing off all of the traits of the type of individual that you want in your life, because you know, everything's happening for the highest good, and actually maybe the best thing isn't. We always think as humans we know the answer for ourselves, when actually I really believe the universe has the answer. So if you focus on manifesting in a specific type of person, and then say for instance you split up with your current partner, then that's happening for the highest good, even though when you're going through it, it feels terrible, because the universe is bringing you the person that you wrote down that you wanted to manifest in and attract in. So I think it's just about trusting in the process, and really trusting that actually, you know what, I'm going to manifest in a specific type of person, and then, you know, just trusting that actually that person might not be for me. So with the ex stuff, like people come into our life for a reason. Usually there's a lesson with the partners that we're with, and it's our job to find out the pattern, because a lot of the time you'll see people go through the same relationship, then get with someone else, and they'll be in the same relationship again. It's just a different person, but it's the same traits that they have. And in that situation, it's about finding out what the pattern is and what you can learn about yourself so that you can change it, and then bring in a better, healthier relationship in the future.
Yeah. Shelley Epperly, who does the Wednesday evening podcast with me, is one of the people in our live stream listening audience, and she points out that so many people think their soulmate is going to complete them, but the truth is you have to complete yourself, which sounds very much like what you're talking about.
Yeah, 100%. It's about like when you write down those traits of what you want in a person, looking at every single one of those traits and being like, how do I show up in life? Do I show up as this person with all these traits? Because the person we bring in often is a mirror of who we are and how we're showing up in the world. So if we're writing down, I want someone who's generous, I want someone who's you know, worked on themselves, I want somebody who is really successful, then you have to work on yourself and make sure you're showing the universe that you're like stepping up, and actually I'm working to have all those traits in myself as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. In fact, that whole concept of working on yourself, first of all, when I met my wife, Louise, like I told you earlier, it was after just completely giving up, throwing in the towel. And then, of course, she shows up because now all my resistance was gone, because I decided, well, this is never going to happen for me.
Yeah.
But after we met and after we married and had been together for a while, a question we would often ask each other was, why do you think we took so long to meet? Because we met when we were in our 40s. And we thought, you know, geez, why couldn't we have met earlier? And we came to the conclusion that we just weren't ready.
Yeah.
We both had work to do on ourselves. And until we did that work, there was no way we were going to connect. which
Oh
is
my gosh,
really
yeah.
important. There's just really no way to make a relationship work until you have got yourself into alignment. In the same way that Steve was talking about being in alignment for attracting that supercar into the driveway, it's the same alignment. It's just toward a different goal, but it's the same basic principle.
Totally.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like like I think my partner and I laugh because we're like, oh my God, can you imagine if we met 10 years ago? He would have hated me. I was like out clubbing and he was not a big clubber at all. He was really sensible. He was actually married at the time. He had a baby on the way. And I would have been like, oh, I don't want to be with someone like that. So it's just like perfect divine timing and just trusting in that, but making sure that in the meantime, you're creating your best life so that you can manifest in all these other amazing things.
Yeah, my wife often tells me that if we had met back when we were in our 20s or 30s, I would have turned and run the other way.
Yeah.
Because at the time she was so codependent, she would have been so clingy, and I wouldn't have wanted it. And that's probably true. And simultaneously, I mean, it turned out what my big issue was. I was convinced that no woman that I met was ever going to want to have a relationship with me, and I didn't realize
Wow.
I was convinced of that. But deep
Yeah.
down, that's what I believed. So, and it got worse over time. So that if I would meet a new woman, instantly, the first thing that would go on subconsciously was, well, this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
I mean, I hadn't even had a conversation yet, right?
Yeah. And it's so interesting. Thank you so much for opening up about that because it's so interesting because I think women assume that when a man's energy is maybe showing that he's not as interested or he's playing around or playing games or whatever, and they often never ever would think, oh, well, it's actually because maybe he's not ready or maybe he actually doesn't think he's good enough for me. They instantly assume I'm not good enough for this person, therefore they don't want me. So it's just about changing your mindset around it all because men and women, we're so similar. And I think we kind of forget that.
That's true. I mean, there's a story that my wife tells about when we met very early on, within like a couple months of having met. We went out to dinner together, and I had had a rather long day at the office, but finally was able to break away. We went out to dinner. We went to a chain restaurant. I don't remember which one it was. And we're sitting there, and I'm sitting at the table like this. And she's saying, oh, God, it's over. He doesn't love me. He isn't interested in me. And then the food came, and I went like this. Oh, he was just hungry. That's all it was.
Angry. Yeah.
Yep. So same story as what you're telling. Absolutely.
I think that's something that a lot of people do as well, is which causes people so much pain inside themselves, is that they assume they know what's going on in the other person's brain. They assume they know what the other person's thinking, feeling, rather than, this is one of the things that I've learned that's helped me hugely, is to actually, rather than assume, just ask. Just ask, and then you get the reality of what's actually going on. So that just opened that up for me, because me and my wife often, not so much now, but when we first met, we always used to assume what the other one was thinking until we read the Four Agreements. Can't remember who wrote it, but we both read that book, and that talks about assuming.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the main issues in most relationships, not just love relationships, that might be work relationships, family relationships, whatever, is that people assume they know what someone else is thinking and feeling, and that causes so many issues. It doesn't have to. All you need to do is communicate better.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, Joel, that's something actually you've talked about a lot during all the podcasts we've done over the years, because Joel has actually a specialty. He works with kids who are caught in the foster home system, usually the ones who are not able to get adopted for one reason or another. And the stories, I mean, I won't put you on the spot, Joel, to ask you to tell a bunch of stories, but you deal with situation after situation where you realize early on the kid was never really listened to. I mean, everybody made assumptions about who this kid was, and so the kid became who they thought he was.
Well, and that's taking exactly what we're saying on a more of a global scale, where we are, whether we're telling ourselves something or somebody else is telling us, or whatever programming we have in life, that's what we start to believe. And I have one young man in particular, and I work with several, so this is sort of, it worked in a lot of ways, but one in particular that had such an astounding effect is, within 20 minutes of talking to him, I asked him the questions and I asked him who he was, and he gave me his mental health diagnosis when I asked him who he was, and he said, well, I'm oppositionally defiant, and I'm attention deficit disorder, and I'm depressed. And I go, that's not who you are. Tell me about you. And he didn't have the ability to tell me who he was. And and he's a very bright young man. And as we untangled this very complicated web that he had lived, his mom had died when he was in foster care in our prison system, and he was told all of these things. He was medicated as if he were just this animal almost with the drugs he had him on. And as we talked, he was able to see. I said, well, you're oppositionally defiant because you were told you're oppositionally defiant. You're depressed because your mom died, not because you lack serotonin. We went through this whole thing, and he made an instantaneous change at 12 years old in his perspective, and his life changed in a dramatic way immediately. You see that you expect. I try to always treat people as I see them, or as what I expect from them. When I work with kids, I don't want to go. I don't even like to read their file before I work with them, because I want to help develop my own opinion, and not just somebody have an arbitrary opinion. If you go see a psychiatrist and a group home staff is suggesting that this person's crying all the time and wants to fight all the other kids, well, that's what they're diagnosing. That's not the truth of what's happening. And in relationships, years ago, before I got into the law of attraction, and before I even knew the connection, I would meet. I used to run a weekend. I was a weekend supervisor for a crisis center in Florida, and I would have multiple women over the time. They would come into care. They were repeatedly beaten by their husband, and when we would do a background, sort of a history, they kept finding men that would beat them, and I was baffled by how you could. It's almost like they were on a mission to find men that would abuse them. And in their world, all men, as was just stated, not all men are cheaters and not all men are abusers. But yet, in their mind, their dad abused them, their boyfriends abused them, their fiancés abused them, and their husbands abused them. So all they were tuned into were abusers, and that's what they kept attracting, and they kept going back. And that was before I even understood that. Even then, before I had any understanding of the law of attraction, I can remember going, it's almost like they're intentionally attracting it. Well, I'm not saying they were intentionally doing it, but their behavior and what they were putting out there is what the vibration or the frequency they were putting out there. That's all they could attract. So that's the amazing piece when you look at it. Just like you're saying, this is so much our thing in relationships or whatever is when you realize you are the issue, fixing you first, working on you, getting you on that, then you have no choice but to attract what you're trying to attract.
I imagine that's what you run into a lot, Kelly, with your practice when you're dealing with your clients on the relationship issues. A lot of people with those kinds of preconceptions in their minds.
Yeah, 100%. Like, beliefs is huge. And like, I do come across people where they go through the same pattern and they attract the same type of person again and again and again and again. And the first step is about becoming really conscious of what that pattern is, and then starting to, because it's really hard to tell someone, right? Like, oh, you're attracting this into your life, because they're not obviously consciously doing it. It's all on a subconscious level. And it's all down to subconsciously, like, the worth that they feel. They think that this is all subconscious. They don't know in their head that this is what they believe, but on a subconscious level, they think that they're not worth more than that. So therefore, the people they bring in and attract treat them in that way. And when people say, oh, they're a mirror of them, it's never a mirror as in they're able to treat people in that way as well. It's a mirror as in, this is the work that you need to do on yourself in order to then manifest in somebody at a higher vibration and somebody that's going to treat you in the way that you actually truly do deserve.
Absolutely. Very important. And these same principles apply in every area of life. That's the part that I find to be really cool. So, for instance, I mean, Steve, you're a business coach, or you help people with their developing their businesses as well as developing their personal lives. There's a one of the people who are listening to the live stream, Sarah, posted something. I wanted to share it with you and get your input on it, Steve. She says, I have been manifesting a successful business, which I have a stunning shop, lots of stock, and great customers. But I know my last step is to hand my notice in to my full-time job so I can be in the shop more. I'm just holding on to this job only through fear of what if. So I feel as though I am blocking the results by not letting go. Any advice would be great. I am so close, but so worried and anxious to make the final step. Working a full-time job, working shifts, and running a shop is hard. And I know one has to let go. I'm excited, and I know I should just go for it. What do you have to tell Sarah? What would be helpful for her, Steve?
I do come across this a lot with clients. I helped someone a couple of days ago that she was somebody who's set up a business, and she's got issues around attracting money into the business. So, and it's a lot of it, like you've just been talking about, a lot of it's about belief systems. So we're brought up to believe that we have to work really hard in order to earn a small amount of money, or we live from a place of lack and worry. So we're worrying about having enough money to pay the bills, or we're worrying about we've got, I don't know, debt collectors knocking on our door, and this then puts a block in place for you taking the next step towards what actually is going to create that wealth and that success for you, because you're focusing on something that actually you're passionate about, that you're going to enjoy, and you're going to put all your effort into, and work with people that you enjoy working with, and automatically that's going to make you feel better, going to put you in a place of abundance, and then the money just flows. So what I teach my clients is stop thinking about the money, start looking at what you're actually going to get once you take that leap, how it's going to feel, and the amount. Have a goal in mind about the amount of money that you want to earn from your business, but then don't focus on the money. Focus on the lifestyle that's going to give you, and start moving towards those things that lifestyle is going to give, whether that be you're going to buy a boat, you're going to buy a new house, you're going to buy a new car, all these different things that you can focus on. Go out there, look at the houses that you'd like to buy once you're successful in that business. Go out there, look at the boat that you'd love to have sat in the harbour when you've got this successful business. So you're already going out there and looking for the things that this business success is going to bring into your reality. That then lifts your vibration to where it needs to be to allow those funds to come in, rather than sitting where you are, staying in the same spot and creating the same reality over and over again of all this hard work you're putting in for this other company that you're working for, and not focusing on what you actually 100% enjoy. So I'd say to Sarah, do let go of the job, but if you're not comfortable with doing that yet because of your belief system, what we need to be doing is shifting that belief system to a place where you are comfortable in leaving your job. So I would start going out, doing the things that this successful business is going to give you. So go out there and start looking at houses, whatever it is. I don't know what it is for you, Sarah, because I'm not you, but go out there and go and start experiencing the things that this successful business and the amount of money that you're going to earn from it is going to give you. Then you'll see that the success will start coming to put you and your belief system where it needs to be to then hand your notice in. That's the advice I give. I hope that made sense.
Well, actually, she's already responded, and you're connecting completely with her, because she's saying White Range Rover, black alloys. I'm on it. Got it.
There we go. There we go. Awesome. Awesome. That's it. Exactly that. Go and do it. Go test drive them. Go speak to people. Find out how it feels to have that.
Lisa says I'm off to the travel agents. Thank you. Fantastic. Yeah, well, that's cool. When you can inspire people like that, and I know you guys, all three of you, get this on a daily basis with all the clients you deal with, but when you can inspire people like that, I mean, is there anything that feels better in your life than helping somebody else break through like that, Steve?
No. No. To be honest, I get every client that I work with and that I help, and clients previous will tell you this, and they'll be happy to do that. I get emotional when they have a breakthrough because that's how much it means to me to see someone else get what I've got and get to a state of being and self-belief that's just so expansive and life changing. How can you not enjoy doing that?
Absolutely, yeah. And Kelly, do you find that it also impacts your own life when you have those kinds of breakthroughs?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I think it's so important to do what lights you up in life. And I really love, in particular, speaking to large groups, like being on stage in front of hundreds of people, because I feel like you can help so many more people. And when I'm in that place, it honestly feels like I've done it so many times, even though I've actually got a year's experience, it feels like I've done it forever. So I think that in life, when you're in the right place, like you can feel it in your body, right? This is what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. But like seeing people go through these breakthroughs and realize the power that they have within themselves is like incredible.
Joel, I know you're also a public speaker too. Is she describing your experience?
Yeah, absolutely. When you're speaking, in my mind, the first time, the biggest crowd I've spoken to is about 5,000 people, and
Wow.
when I
Yeah.
when I walked when I looked around the corner, I just was like, oh no, and it was, I've never seen that many people, and these are a bunch of doctors and psychiatrists from around the country, and I just had an immediate, almost reverse law of attraction attack, like, oh, I can't even do this. And then as I realized, that I am one of the people they have come to see. I have, and I was able to get myself there and to see their response. And really, when you're making eye contact, if you have the ability, depending on the venue, I could have the first few rows I could see, and you can tell when people are engaged or when people are sort of not, and to see that the first few rows were and there were doctors were writing things down, and I started, as I was talking, I realized I'm having an impact, and with anything, in any of the work I'm doing, I'm sure my colleagues will agree here. The same thing we're talking about with the law of attraction. When you're with somebody, either on the phone or in person, you're putting out your own energy. And that energy is something that's a tangible, it's something you can feel. So when you're feeling that on stage, and then you're putting it out to the crowd, or the crowd starting to feel it back to you, there is a synergy there that's almost impossible to explain. You're nailing it. This is helpful. You could feel that, and it's whether it's sitting in my office with one or two people, or standing on a stage in front of 5,000 people. I know when I'm making that connection, and when I feel that connection and that energy back, it's amazing. I believe that I've been, I know I've been with people, they are energy drainers, and when I'm with a group that's an energy drainer, I can feel that as well. So I have to vibrate it at a higher level when I'm with people there. So I, feeling that, and when you're putting that toward the universe, you're making that connection. That is the wheelhouse of the law of attraction. That's where everything comes together. It's the energy we're putting out there. That's what is there, that the law of attraction responds to. And other people, they're attracted to that, especially when they're trying to tune into it. So I feel very alive. But I also, I feel very alive. I had a family of 4 yesterday come in, and I felt just as alive speaking with them because I was a connection for them and help for them that they haven't been able to find to this point. So it really is such a great feeling to be able to do this for a living. And it is, as Steve was saying, it's very, you get chills sometimes when you're like, wow, when somebody changes their life because they came to you and you open their eyes. That's an amazing feeling.
Absolutely. Well, Kelly, Steve, and Joel, we're going to put everything to the test here because one of our more frequent call-in people is on the Blue Jeans platform with us today. Sam occasionally calls in while he's on his drive. I believe he lives in the West Coast. And on his drive into work, he will call in and ask us questions. So, Sam, I'm going to try to bring you in here if you're interested and see if there was anything that you wanted to ask our crew. I can't unmute it at my end. You're going to have to mute at your end if you're interested. But if there's something you want to bring it up now. And how you doing?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Hi, Sam,
Hey.
how are you?
So I just tuned in. I know I'm a little late, which I was a little upset because I was actually the crazy part was I was actually thinking about all the things you were talking about this morning, and I tuned in, and you guys were talking exactly about what I was thinking.
Wow.
So it's
Love it.
crazy. And to be honest with you, I'm actually been struggling with what Steve was saying recently. Like I've been always struggling with finance um, and my work and everything, and like I'm trying to find ways to bring more income in my life, but whatever I do, I feel like I always lose. Like for example, in the stock market, I've been in the stock market for over 7 years, and last month or 2 months ago, I lost pretty much all my money in the stock market. And I've been doing it for so long, and I just feel like it's not working out, and I hate it when things don't work out. And I don't give up. So I've lost a lot of money in the stock market, but I mean the stock market is more of a gamble thing in a way. But at the same time, with my work as well, most of my work that I do, I feel like I'm not getting anywhere, and I'm trying to change that. And I was telling Walt that I recently got into laws of attraction recently. I met this one person she's very into laws of attraction. She's a good friend of mine, and she's always pushing it, and it's sort of changing things. But at the same time, I mean, there are still those times where I have negative thoughts and try to turn them around. But when it comes to like finance and money, it's very hard for me. It's hard for me to do it because all my life I've been rewired to a different way. My family was struggling when I was little. So I was never like in that whole rich family sort of a thing as I was growing up. So I'm trying to find ways to fix that, but I don't know what to do. When Steve was saying, yeah,
Steve, let's see what Steve has to say. Steve, what do you have to say to Sam?
Well, I resonate with what you're saying there, Sam, because I come from a very similar background. So my parents, especially my mother, she'll probably won't like me saying this, but never mind. She's very, very focused on money and not spending any of it and saving it and being very, very careful with it because we never had enough, which I understand and I get that. But again, that taught me to live from a place of lack and worry about money. So I've always had exactly the same challenges in my life that you're describing there, Sam. So I get 100% where you're coming from, and that's been the biggest challenge for me in my law of attraction journey has money.
Oops.
oh,
Yeah, I can manifest anything which is material, so cars, motorbikes, houses, whatever, boats, whatever you could think of. But I always struggled with cold hard cash. But that's changed, and for exactly the reasons I was describing earlier. It's about moving. For me, I have to do it in the way that works for me. I don't know whether this will work for you, Sam, but it might do because it's a similar background. I struggled with manifesting cash because I couldn't put an emotional connection to it. So I couldn't connect emotionally to money because it was just paper or metal or some numbers on the screen. So I found it difficult to do that. So what I do now is I'll envision an amount of money that I want to earn over a period of time or whatever. And like what I was saying to Sarah earlier, I'll go out and I'll find the things, I'll decide what I want to do in my life to change my lifestyle once I've got that amount of money. So, for example, at the moment, I'm currently in the process of manifesting 1.2 million over the coming however long it takes, but that's my target that I'm doing. So I'm going out now and I'm looking at £500,000 houses in my area that I want to move into, and spending time doing that. I'm also test driving other supercars that I'd like to have. I'm looking for a house with a double garage to put those supercars in, and going and experiencing what it's like to be in these houses, studying that garage where my cars are going to go, and then doing all the visualization and all the techniques that I've learned from The Secret and the other books in order to bring that into fruition. And I know 100% that I need that money to come to me to be able to do it. So that's the way I get around my blockage on money. Whether that'll work for you, some I don't know, but it's worth a try. It works. It's worked for some of my other clients because you're going out there, you're working out the amount of money that you want, and then you're going and experiencing the things, so you get the physical anchoring from having that amount of money, because you're experiencing what it'd be like to do the things that money will bring to you, if that makes sense.
It does. So for example, with me there's two things that I really want. One is I really want a penthouse really badly, somewhere in LA. And two, I'm dying to get a Tesla. Tesla is a very expensive car, and my lease that I have currently, I have a really small Audi right now, and that lease is ending in a couple months. I know that in a couple months I cannot get a Tesla. I mean, it's reality. So
you've just decided that you can't get a Tesla by then because of your current belief system. How do you know it's not possible? It might be possible. Something might happen.
True.
In my experience.
Okay. I mean, okay, that makes sense. All right. And then yeah, those two things are, it's just like I guess you're right. I guess it is my belief system. So see, it's hard to change that. Like I mean, like with the money that I'm getting right now at work and the amount of money that I'm making, it's nowhere near what a penthouse would be or a Tesla would be. Do you know what I'm saying?
So what I'd suggest doing with your mindset and belief systems, it's really difficult to make a massive jump. So if you're currently earning a certain amount of money, but you need this amount of money that's jumping right up here in order to get what you want, what you need to do is micro shift your subconscious, because your subconscious mind will always win the battle. So if you believe that you can never have enough money to buy that penthouse, currently you'll never have the penthouse. But what you can do is work towards manifesting a little bit at a time. So if you believe it's possible, I don't know, to manifest $100, which is a small amount of money, start there and then gradually move it up. So decide, I don't know, I want to buy a new phone or laptop or whatever that costs $100. Go and look at the laptops, put that action in place, do all the work you need to do, and then the $100 will turn up. Once that's happened, then your belief system's changed to a point now where it believes that you can manifest money.
Mm-hmm.
And then what we'll do is we'll gradually move that up step by step to larger and larger amounts. It might be that you'll do a big jump one day and you'll get 10 grand. And then you'll drop back down to 5. But it's all about keeping moving forward and moving your subconscious further and closer towards what you wanted to get to. Does that make sense?
It does. So let me ask you this: does this also work for the lottery?
To be honest, I don't do lottery. I don't think it's very ethical.
Gotcha.
Well,
okay.
If I can jump in on that as well, one of the things that I really believe with me, and I I think when you're playing the lottery, you're basically telling the universe, I don't think you can do this legitimately. So I'm going to take a one in a quarter of a billion chance. And in a sense, it's a desperation move. So you're putting out desperation to that. It's that's why the lottery. It's almost impossible to develop a belief that you're going to win something that's 1 in 300 million. So the fact that when you buy it with the anticipation of losing, just like Steve was mentioning, it's no different than I will not be able to have a Tesla in a few months is an absolute fact, not because it's a fact for any other reason. That's exactly what you believe. And so that idea that the lottery is, and I'm not saying you go buy 5 lottery tickets and not worry about it, but if you're buying a lottery ticket and you think, okay, well, this is my only way to do it, then you've given the sort of the law of attraction universe only one option, and you have however many other millions of people every week doing the exact same thing. So it really is a desperate mindset. So you're coming from a place of lack. Versus one of the things that you may find really helpful in I don't know where you are in Los Angeles, but I'm a student of a hypnotherapy school there, and they have a program called the Mind Bank. It really is a wonderful form. It's sort of a vision board on steroids, I like to call it, but it's a way to get your subconscious mind to tune into abundance, and I don't have time to explain it in detail here, but I really recommend you look into something like that where you can have a physical tool to help you, because it's their subconscious that we're attacking here. I grew up with a mother that same way, where lack was she was very fearful of money, and I remember that. So I had a big battle with money for a long time until I was able to change my perspective of it. And what we're trying to, sounds like other areas of your life are going pretty well, but the money part is the one that's having the most problem for you. And that's because so much energy is placed on that. So much focus is placed on that, and there's a belief system underlying that. So getting to the subconscious and changing that belief system is going to be critical. And when I work with clients, I have a young man a couple of years ago. He came to me and he was working for a local cable company, and he was making $50,000 a year. And he said, I want to make $500,000 a year. I go, do you believe you can make $500,000 right now? He said, no, because he's making 50. I said, so we walked through the process, and I said, what's the highest paid person in your position at the cable company? He said, well, he makes about 105. I said, you know 105 can be made? And he said, yeah. So we started with that. I said, well, you're at 50, so can you make 60 this upcoming year? And he believed he could make 60. By the end of that, 6 months in, he was clearly going to make over 60. So it was his belief system that changed. That's been several years ago. He has a job now. He moved to New York. He's making almost 7 figures now. And it changed with incrementally. It's too big of a jump. It isn't that it can't happen. It's that we don't believe it can be that big of a. I don't know if that's hitting home at all, but it is. We're really trying to reprogram your subconscious, and that's where all this takes place.
Wow. I mean, okay. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. But yeah, you made a good point. Yeah, I'm in West LA. If you could send me some information regarding that, I would love to check it out. And sort of look into that.
We'll do contact information as we're drawing to a close here, because we're down to the last couple minutes. So Sam, just make a note of the contacts for each of these different people, and they'll be able to answer you when you reach out to them. So thanks for calling in, as usual, Sam. Yes, Kelly, what's up?
Sorry, could I just say one thing about money as well, because it's really important to deal with. You'll see lottery winners that lose all their money within a year, and it's because of the belief system, but it's also because of the patterns from when we were children, the energy behind our relationship with money. So there's a really, really amazing book called Earth is Hiring by Peta Kelly. And she does a big chapter on our relationship with money. And there's a lot of exercises in there that will help to shift the energy from your childhood into a place where you're in a better relationship, you've got a better relationship with money. So hopefully that helps as well.
Yeah, that's
Wow. That sounds good too. I'm definitely gonna look
I'm
at
going
the
to get that
too.
one.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So, Sam, thanks for calling in. There's one other person's quote I wanted to share before we finish up the show because we're really running out of time here. But Paula contacted us, Joel and I, a few weeks ago and shared her story, and she wanted to tell us what has happened since then. She was basically trying to help her husband get into a better mental space. He had lost his job and so forth. She said she's been telling her husband and her son about scripting, and I didn't do it with a job for him as I thought it wasn't right to do, as he is his own person. But yesterday I decided to do it as if he was already in a job and with other details about it. But at the end of it, I put, for the highest good of all concerned, thank you, thank you, thank you, universe. That way, if it was for his highest good, and if it hadn't been, it wouldn't have happened. Well, he went to an interview, and I knew before he went that he got it. I just felt it, and he did get it. What I didn't know until
Yay.
afterwards what I didn't know until afterwards was that he had actually scripted for it too.
Yeah,
So
100%. Fantastic.
she concludes, I love the law of attraction. Yes, we all do. And my only sad point is that we are out of time. If it weren't for that, everything would be perfect. Very quickly, Kelly, how does somebody reach out to you?
Yeah, of course. So I'm on Instagram. My Instagram handle is at Kelly_pretty. Or you can get me on Facebook as well. Just feel free to reach out to me there, direct message me. And I've also got a website, which is www.kellypretty.me. So yeah, any of those routes is great.
Fantastic. And Steve, how do people reach out to you?
Again, yeah, I'm both on Facebook and Instagram. So Facebook, you can find me at Steve Rowell, and Instagram is at steve.rowell. And then you've got my website, which is www.dolifeonpurpose.com.
Excellent. And Joel, of course, how do they reach out to you? We've asked this before, but still we got to put it out there.
Absolutely. It's Joel Elston at Gmail. I'm on Facebook. My website is joelelston.com.
All right. Thank you, Steve and Kelly, for joining us today. This has been a pleasure. We really appreciate it. We're going to have
Thank
you
you
guys
so
back
much
in the
for having
future.
us.
And I'll figure out when to fit you into the schedule, but we'll definitely have you guys back. So thank you for joining us.
Oh, amazing. Thank
One quick one. Can I just drop in that me and Kelly and some other people may well be looking at doing some live events in the UK
Cool.
over the summer. We don't know where or when yet, but that's all in the planning. So keep an eye out for those as well, guys.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. Well, thank you for that. And thank you to our listeners, both the live streamers and the recorded podcast listeners, for tuning in. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.